Hi everyone, we're in week 2, lesson 2, learning the tarot, a beginner's journey. This week we're going to be going further into the major arcana, exploring the major arcana. Last week's homework assignment was to pull a card each morning. A few of you did email me or comment on the lesson itself. I appreciate that. And I think many of you hopefully had a chance to connect with that exercise as well as developing a connection with the major arcana. The major arcana, many tarot enthusiasts only use the 22 major arcana cards in their readings, which is very interesting. You can explore that probably online or through different tarot books. Some major arcanas, the spreads themselves are very interesting just using these cards. And the major arcana, according to tarot enthusiasts, tarot scholars, are the rules and tools of life. And that's something that's very much tied into esoteric and occult sciences governing the laws of the universe and things to do with the universe in terms of mankind's climbing the ladder of life, which is very interesting. It can be tied to the tree of life. It's tied to the studies of the Kabbalah. It's also tied to Egyptian theories going way back to the tarot. And it's very interesting how the tarot, in sense, is not only a spiritual tool, but it's very much tied into religion, especially tied to the Christian Bible. It's very fascinating and it's very interesting. For the beginner's journey, I don't have much time to discuss that, but it's something that you may want to read up about if you're very serious about wanting to learn more about the tarot's history. It's very fascinating. For week 2, lesson 2, we're going to continue our journey with the major arcana cards. And you will have a homework assignment for this week as well. The major arcana cards, we're going to continue going through each one in this lesson and also develop a better sense of the meaning and interpretation of each card. And I will also speak about the different divinatory meanings, especially with prediction with each card as well. So let's begin the second half of our second week in mastering the major arcana. Exploring the major arcana. We're going to continue today for this lesson for the week and exploring the major arcana from where we left off last week. And the objective is to give you a deeper sense of each card's meaning, its importance, and its relevance within the major arcana, because the first 22 cards of the tarot deck are so very important, especially in their placement and in their relevance to a tarot reading. Mystics say if you meditate on a symbol long enough, it will reveal its meaning, will become revealed to you whether you realize it or not. And that's the objective of this lesson, is for you to further your relationship with each card in the major arcana deck. We're going to begin today with starting off. Last week we did the first 4, which was the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Empress. And we're going to continue with the rest of the major arcana cards, talking more about their imagery, their symbolism, as well as their meaning. So let's begin with the Emperor, which is number 4. And the Emperor is sitting on his throne. He looks very majestic. And if you look at your card, many connotations of the Emperor. He is either draped in purple robes or he may have red in his clothing. Red was a symbol of power, passion, very much associated with the emperor. The emperor is as well depicted as a male figure. The emperor itself is a card of power, decision making, influence. It's also a good card in terms of masculine energies. You may often hear people say alpha male, masculine energies. He's all about control and order in a situation. If you had a hard decision to make and the emperor appeared, this may come from a decision maker outside of your situation, not necessarily yourself. This person can have relevance in making decisions for you as well. So he's an authority figure. He also can be a father figure. Going forth, we have the Hierophant, which is number 5. The Hierophant, especially with the Robin Wood Tarot deck, looks very much like the Pope. And the Rider-Waite deck, he looks very much like the Pope. And it's very much associated with conformity, tradition, religious leaders, even social pressures of tradition, of wanting to conform to a lifestyle. And this card is very symbolic. It's very rich with imagery of religion by his hat, his scepter, the 2 altar boys standing next to him in prayer, his robes, his garments, very much associated with traditions, churches even. I had a client once who asked for a general reading, and this card appeared in her, what's crowning her, and I said, "Are you thinking about going back to church?" And she said, "Yes, nobody knows that. I have been thinking about going back to my church." And that's the feeling that I got when the Hierophant appeared for her. And I was right. The Hierophant's very much about conformity, tradition, the hierarchy of tradition. And it's social approval or feeling pressured to conform to society. Next, we have the number 6, which is the Lovers. The Lovers card is a card that can have many associations tied with it, especially with love and passion. The Lovers can also be a trial is involved or a choice is involved. You can see a male and a woman figures. The man is holding out his hand, which what appears to look like the sun. The woman is holding out her hand, which what appears to be the moon. They're both naked under a night sky. The brightness of this card is there's a star almost coming forth through a tree, which is very much about Adam and Eve because there's apples on the tree, and it's a shining light over them. This is a card of making a choice. I often refer to it as a crossroads. This can also be much passion, much love in a situation as well. This can also be a trial involved in terms of a third party. This can be someone choosing someone over someone else, especially in a love reading. It can also very much indicate a crossroads. And it's about love and passion. So when this card appears, very much depicted by its imagery and its symbolism, is very much about passion, lust, and love. Next we have where's my number 7 card? 5, 6, 6. I'm missing a card. The Hermit. Oh, here it is. The Chariot. It's number 7. My cards were out of order. Shame on me. Number 7 is the Chariot. The Chariot's very much associated with, he's on a mission. He's on a mission. He has a harp as well. So his mission with the harp may be angelic guidance, His horses, one is white, one is black, dualities again, positive, negative. He's on a mission. It's all about overcoming obstacles, overcoming challenges. What's interesting with the Chariot as well is that it can also literally mean travel in a car in a modern day interpretation. It can also even be buying a car. That's come up as well. And the Chariot is overcoming obstacles and taking control in a situation. He has control of the reins of the horses, and he's also at the same time playing his harp. So it's not only about being in control, but having the confidence in being in control and kind of being led by divine forces or by divine intelligence. So once again, much imagery in this card, especially depicted in its symbolism. So look at your Chariot card. Each chariot has the same depiction, but very much can be designed very differently. Like for instance, this one has, if you can see it, it has a little yin and yang, little yin and yang symbol in the center, which is very interesting as well. Next we have number 8, which is strength. And the lion in this card is very much the center of the woman. He's very much her protector, even. And she's not afraid of him. She's very confident in knowing that the situation that perhaps she is up against is going to work out. She has much confidence in that. And it's also love and support from other people and protection as well. And strength can also be reaching down within yourself. If you don't feel that you have much love and support, reaching down to that part of yourself where you do have inner strength and to fight for what you believe in as well. This is a card that can also appear a lot in relationship or love readings. I've seen that. Next we have the Hermit, which is number 9. And the Hermit gets a bad rap. You know, people see the Hermit in readings and they're like, oh God, I'm never going to, meet anybody, or I'm going to be alone, or I'm never going to leave the house. It's a card of, people think it's a card of isolation, not necessarily. It's a time period of possibly being on your own with a purpose. And he's shining his lantern, and it's shining at all directions. He's illuminating a situation. He's seeking the truth about a matter. And he's on a spiritual journey or a spiritual quest as well. And the Hermit is all about illuminating truth, illuminating a part of a situation, finding out more about yourself, or finding more about what you need to do in a situation. And it's soul searching, it's seeking truth, not just being alone. And it's not necessarily a card of isolation either. Next we have the Wheel of Fortune, and I love when this card appears because you can't really say anything bad about this card. In this image, in the Robin Wood deck, take a look at yours. There is a woman who's on the wheel, and she starts off with her head in her hands, looks very sad, and then her demeanor changes, and she, at the top, opposite from being in despair about a situation, she's free, she's happy, things are looking great, she has a star above her head, and the wheel is spinning from this point of no return. It's spinning into a better cycle. So the wheel is a very easy card to read. It's a card of luck, the ups and downs of life. It's a card of serendipity, and it's also a card of karma, of what goes around comes around. And the Wheel of Fortune is a very lucky card, and it's one that when you see it in a reading, it's like, oh wow, especially if the reading is off to a negative start and you just think to yourself, my God, this is terrible. And the wheel appears, it's almost saying, but it's going to get better. So the Wheel of Fortune is a very positive card, and it's all about destiny, and the cycles are turning. Going forth, and we're halfway through, number 11 is Justice. Justice is depicted as a woman, and she looks very Roman. She has the Roman leaves on both sides of her head in this card. She has one sword up and one sword down. Once again, she has the red draped robes and a bit of purple at the top. She's one of who's in control. She's one that has power over a situation. Justice is all about balance. In the Rider-Waite deck, I believe there's an image of a person holding the justice scales. In the Robin Wood Tarot deck, it's a little different, but she's holding the swords in terms of balance. One is up, one is down. Justice is all about balance, creating fairness in a situation. This card can really come up for people who are going through a divorce or in legal situations or facing lawsuits. In terms of winning in court, this is a good card to have that comes up in a reading of things will be played out fairly for that person. It's a card of control. It's a card of order, of justice, prevailing and winning and putting things back into balance again, and fair play and fairness in a situation. She's represented by the number 11. Next we have the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is one of my favorite cards because, you know, he's really the only card in the deck that just, you look at him and you think, boy, he's a mess. You know, he's hanging upside down from a tree with one leg, basically. And there's much symbolism in the position of his leg. There's much symbolism in the position of his leg. In fact, it apparently ties in to the Hebrew spelling of God. You might want to look that up, but there's much symbolism in the position of his leg. He is wearing red tights once again, and he's upside down. This is a card of feeling suspended in midair about a situation, or feeling as if things may be suspended. A decision can't be made. A sacrifice may be needed in order to progress or move on. If you have a question about, you know, should I leave this job or should I stay, and this card would appear, there's much uncertainty about that. There's no decisions that may be made about that. So when this card appears, the events or the situation tied to your situation is up in the air. There's not a decision that has been made. There's much uncertainty with the Hanged Man. And also the Hanged Man is about letting go of control, letting go of trying to control a situation. Next we have the Death card, and the image on this card is very ominous. The Rider-Waite deck, there's a skeleton on a horse wearing he's carrying a flag, and it's the flag of the mystic rose, and that has much symbolism in the tarot. This card in particular does have a rose, but in the background, and it's rather large. He's once again draped, and he's represented like the Grim Reaper or something along those lines. The Death card is very intimidating. When people see that, people often think it's a card of actual physical death. Once again, we're using symbolism in the tarot where many things are not literal. So the symbolism of the Death card is change. It's an ending, absolute transformation. Something is coming to an end, and so something new can begin. So if you would see this in a love reading and someone would ask, what's to come about with my boyfriend, and this was in the outcome position, the relationship most likely would be coming to an end. This is a card of endings and ultimate transformation. And it's also a card of realizing in order to change your situation, things have to come to an end in order to bring in something new. So the Death card, don't be afraid of it. It's a very beautiful card, especially if you're looking for an absolute answer to whether something's going to last. Next we have number 14 is Temperance. So get out the card Temperance. Temperance is represented in many decks by an angel. This is often referred to as the Archangel Michael. And he's standing with 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the ground. This is the symbolism of as above, so below, how everything is connected between earth and sky, physically and spiritually. And he's also at the same time juggling 2 balls. His wings are really outstretched and covering up most of the card. And in the background, in the foreground, the sun is shining with the mountains. And Temperance is all about the flow of relationships. People are getting along very well when this card appears, especially people of diverse backgrounds. It's a good relationship card, especially in romantic or business relationships, and it's having patience with other people. So it's a very good relationship card when you see Temperance. Going forth, this is probably one of the most intriguing cards in the Major Arcana, and it's the Devil, number 15. The Devil is very rich with imagery, very rich with symbolism, in particular bondage or feeling captive to a situation. This is a card that can have many meanings. Many things derive from this card. Some readers refer to this card as the sex, drugs, and rock and roll card, which sounds very, modern and kitschy. I've used it myself. It is, because it's all about excess. It's all about feeling captivated or feeling addicted to something, whether that's being literally addicted to alcoholism, drug abuse. This can even be indicative of abuse, physical, mental, emotional abuse. I've seen this card come up for those who have been in depressions. This card can be a card of depression, a card of excess, unhealthy attachments, bad habits, something that you feel that you can't kick. And when this card appears, it's notifying you of certain characteristics of someone, certain attributes of a situation, and it's notifying you that, especially in relationship readings, when this card appears, either someone is in an abusive relationship or they're dealing with someone who is suffering from addiction. I've seen that come up many times. So the Devil is all about entrapment in bad situations, unhealthy attachments, especially abusive relationships and depression. Next, following this drudgery of a card, is a beautiful card, and actually it's not a beautiful card. I skipped one. I don't think this is a beautiful card, but it does have great, I don't want to say relevance again. It does have great freeing you from the Devil card. Once you get past the Devil card in the Major Arcana, you're kind of like freed from that with the position of the card following, which is the Tower. The card I was going to speak about is right after the Tower, which is my favorite, one of my favorites. But The Tower is number 16. The Tower looks terrifying. Many of the images in the tarot deck depict people falling from a flaming inferno, and it has waves crashing up against the rock. I don't know whether this is an actual torpedo or mountain or lighthouse, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. There's mayhem. It's like the apocalypse has happened. Lightning striking the building. People are falling from their, to their deaths. This card is very heavy. Not as heavy as the Devil, because this card is about breakthroughs. There's a breakthrough happening. There's a breakdown or catastrophe depicted with this card, essentially saying all is not lost. This is needed. It's like when you go out, when farmers go out and they burn the fields. They burn the fields essentially to allow new growth to come up, and they're almost like recharging or regenerating the soil. This is kind of how I look at this card, because the Tower is not all about death and catastrophe, not whatsoever. It's a card of ultimate breakdowns, of bringing forth new creation when you see the Tower card. And it's sometimes something that you have no control over, and it's something that basically has to happen unexpected. This is a real card of something unexpected that may happen. So for instance, I had a reading with a client who wanted to sell her home, and she had a lot of family members involved in the reading, and this card appeared in between each of these court cards that appeared as her family. And it's basically some sort of meltdown or breakthrough, or something was going to happen to cause perhaps a period of calamity or destruction in order to move forward. And this card had much relevance in her situation. So the Tower, once we get past the Devil and the Tower, we kind of go into this realm of magic, and almost like the wonderland of tarot, especially with the last 5 cards of the remaining major arcana. And one of my favorites is the Star card. The Star card is, if you look at your Star card, many of them have the same depiction of a woman in her birthday suit, in her nakedness, with one knee on the ground, one foot in the water. She looks like an angel. There's an 8-pointed star in the sky, which has much symbolism tied to angelic energies. There are many stars surrounding that star, and it's all about balance regained, hope regained, inspiration regained. It's a card of guardian angel energies. It's like being divinely guided when this card comes up. Having faith and having hope again as well in a situation. Having inspiration, having trust regained. This is a very positive card, especially in an outcome, especially in a reading. No matter where it's positioned, it's a very positive card. And it's a very refined card, as well as a reminder of having hope and faith regained again. This also can be a really good card in terms of good health if you were doing a health reading for someone. Now moving forward, I think this card is very magical. It does have some warnings to the card, which is very practical for the reader to communicate to the client. But we have next is number 18, and it's the Moon. Many of the tarot cards depicting the Moon card all have a great big moon in the middle. Many of them have wolves howling at the moon. This card has dogs howling at the moon. They look like they're in between the stones of Stonehenge in this card. And the moon is reflecting onto the surface of water. That symbolism is very important too. The moon card is something is hidden. So if you were to ask, what's going on with my promotion? Am I going to get this job? And if this card came up, not all the information's revealed yet. Something's hidden beneath the surface. This also can be a card of deception. If this card comes up for a love reading, this is a card of deception. This is a card of possibly manipulation as well. It can be a card of trickery. It can indicate theft. It's a card of disillusionment or being disillusioned in a situation as well. And under the light of the full moon, not everything is illuminated, so to speak. So the moon card is very much dealing with the shadowy sides of ourselves because not everything's being revealed. Going forth, we go into probably the most awesomest card, is that a word? And it's number 19, the Sun. The Sun is a regeneration card. It's a card of rejuvenation. You can see the big sun depicted on the sun card. Many of the sun cards in the tarot decks all look the same with the oversized sun shining its rays. There's a little baby on a little pony. That has significance as well. There's sunflowers in the background, and you see the baby is carrying a red flag. The color is important as well. It's all about passion. The Sun is a good card, especially in outcome positions. If you want a yes or no answer, it's hard to get a yes or no answer from the tarot. For my studies, when you see the Sun in a outcome position for a yes or no question, it's a yes. The Sun is a yes. The Sun card is also about good times, friendship, many people around you, success, happiness, good times. This is a wonderful card. There's so much positivity in this card. You just want to, you want to puke. I mean, it's like the most positive tarot card in the deck. You can't get any better than that. And it's also a card really speaking too about good relationships and a really good marriage. The Sun card. 2 more to go. We have Judgment. Judgment number 20. Judgment. Take a look at your Judgment card. Judgment is the phoenix rising out of the ashes. If you don't know what that is, the phoenix rising out of its ashes is springing forth a new life, regeneration. How many times can I use that word? Just new life. It's an awakening card. It's a phase of your life has ended and something new is about to begin. And she is springing forth with the phoenix behind her out of her cauldron, which is full of flames, which is fire is very significant, and clearing out things. And she's all about rebirth, regeneration, an awakening, a renewal. That's a very symbolic card, especially spiritually speaking. And last but not least, we have number 21, which is the World. The World is very much the same, depicted on many cards in many different tarot decks. And she's surrounded by a wreath or a garland of flowers, full circle. And she's springing forth out of this. And she's springing forth with much confidence and security. The World card, because it is the last card of the Major Arcana deck, it's all about confidence. It's all about self-fulfillment, achievement. When this card appears in readings, it can signify recognition. She's celebrating something. It's a card of celebration. It's coming full circle as well. And what's interesting about the World, because it is a completion card being the last card of the major arcana, it's impacting other people. And not many readers speculate or talk about that. But the World, it has an impact on other people or others around you as well. It's a real card of achievement. It's a real card of accolades or receiving awards or recognition for your work or coming to a completion phase, let's say retirement or graduation, or signifying a milestone in your life or a rite of passage. And it also can indicate travel and change of residence. Now going forth, we've gone through all the major arcana cards. The homework for lesson 2, for week 2, is to do a spread. And we're going to do a basic spread. It's going to be a 3-card spread. You don't have to do this every day. You can do it at the beginning of the week and ask any question, but it would be good to frame it in the context of what's to come about with. What's to come about for my week? You could do a general reading. What's to come about with my relationship? What's to come about with my work environment? What's to come about with whatever it is? It's always good to phrase it with what's to come about instead of will I or will he or will she or what will happen. What's to come about? Get into your frame of mind, pull 3 cards, lay them out. I want you to do past, present, future, which will look a little something like this. So the past will be the first card, present is your middle card, future is your 3rd card. Past, present, future. And if you want to share that with me for this week, please do so. And pull those cards and see how they play out for your week at the end of the week. Don't expect to ask a question, especially if you're wanting to know more about something that possibly lies ahead. But try that spread out for this week. Share that with me if you'd like to. We're going to go into week 3 next week, where we're going to hop into the minor arcana and everything that encompasses that. I hope that you've gained some insight, knowledge, and inspiration and confidence with the major arcana cards. Continue with that this week. Go back, do your daily pulls of each card if you'd like to do so as well, and take notes. I hope you're taking notes during these lessons as well. Keep a little tarot journal. So thank you everyone for week 2, lesson 2 of exploring the major arcana, and I will see you next week for week 3. Have a great week.